Racing League Tier 1. I'm your commentator, Will_Rands. Today we've got the USA Grand Prix live from the virtual circuit of the Americas, and as you can see, it's a little bit wet there out on track, so for qualifying it looks like the drivers are going to be setting some times on the intermediate tyres. We're not 100% sure yet whether the track will be drying up later on in the session, but it's going to look like it's going to be at least the intermediates for the entirety of the session. If you look at the sky, it does not look like the rain is going to let up anytime soon. So we'll have a few more people joining us on the broadcast pretty soon, I am sure. But yes, as I said, I'm your commentator here today for Tier 1 Performance Racing League. I'm Will_Rands. We're riding on board at the moment with... He's going to be hoping to set a good lap time to give him the best possible chances in the race, as will all the drivers here. We're going to do a bit of admin here, just bring up the track map, of course, so we can see any yellow flags and such, especially in the race. It's incredibly important. And I think T Widow we can ride on board with here. Yep, he is going to be on his hot lap right now, so we'll ride on board with him. You can see the drivers really don't have much grip out there. You can see the rear sliding a little bit through that right-hander, and there we go. He's invalidated his lap time, so this one will not count, unfortunately. We'll go and ride on board now with Young Ants. See what he can do, and you can already see the drivers really needing to short shift. You're not even seeing the rev lights coming up on the steering wheel before they shift up. That's how early they have to short shift. These S's are going to be incredibly precarious, and there goes Young Ants off. He hasn't, because he would have lost a lot of time doing that. So the game is going to let him off with that one, and he set a purple sector 1, which means I think that he's probably going to have been the only driver that got through. So, and we do have yellow for FLR. No, it's not, it's the other... yeah, it's the other AlphaTauri of T Darson. He's off the track there in the S's. We'll see. Yeah, he's got wing damage as well, so he wasn't getting out the way of anybody. That was him having an incident there that he really did not want to have. So he's going to have to box for repairs, I'm sure. But luckily, he is still in this session. He will still be able to set a lap time, so not the end of the world there for him. And there goes Lijardo. He's set the first and fastest time of the session so far, with a 1:47.4. We'll see, I'm sure we'll see some drivers beating that time though, as they start to just sort of get a feel of the track, where they can put the power down, where they're going to get the traction and such. So we should see those times coming tumbling down. I'd just like to ask anybody in the broadcast, I know we've got the Razor guy, I'm not sure who else is here, just to ask to say in the comments, how is the audio? Does anything need adjusting, or is everything sounding tips off of the pops at the moment? As we see Oshalaka 9, he's set the fastest time now, as we see Lijardo is off into the grass. He doesn't have any wing damage. I think he's just trying to get out of the way of some of the drivers. But yeah, Oshalaka 9, he has set the fastest time so far. It's a 1:46.1. Big shout out to the Razor guy there for and Joe as well for helping out with the audio, just making sure everything is all perfect. So thanks to those guys. Calirob, he is on the main straight. That's why we've got those yellow flags. He's just making sure he can get out of the way of any of the other drivers going past. But he's only managed to put himself up into P2, still 6/10 off Oshalaka 9's time. We're right on board with him. He is in 0 ERS mode, so that means he is he's not on a hot lap right now. But he does have a bit of fuel left. We'll see if he's got enough to do another lap. I'm not 100% sure. A common tactic you see with drivers in these sort of conditions is they will fuel the car up. They'll put 7 or 8 laps of fuel in so they can have a few runs at it, because it's very difficult to consistently put in clean laps in the rain due to the lack of grip. So the only two drivers to have not set a time so far are J4C and T. Darson. Jay is on his hot lap board with him. Short shifting his way through the apex. Oshalaka's in the pits as well. I'm sure we will we'll make sure we follow along with him on his hot lap when he does come out for another one, if he does. J4C is keeping it hooked up as MST Sport 99 goes fastest of all so far. That's the provisional pole time there for the Alfa Romeo driver of a 1:46. So looks like we could see a driver breaking into the 1:45s here. And as the Razor points out in the chat, we'll have to wait and see if the race will be dry and how this is going to affect strategy, because you've got to remember, of course, now the drivers are setting their times on the intermediates, there will not be a mandatory tyre compound for the drivers in the top 10 to start on. And there goes Rene, a 1:45.5. He says, nice lap time, MST Sport. Now have a load of that one. Goes half a second faster than him. Brilliant lap time there by Rene. Of course, probably one of the favourites for pole position, really excelling in the difficult conditions at the moment. ST has invalidated his lap time, and he is not going to have enough fuel to even get back to the pits, I don't think, as we see a big tank slapper there for Adri coming out of that corner. You really saw the rear end almost overtake the fronts there, so that shows the real lack of grip. We've got some amazing drivers here, and I'm sure all of them are probably struggling a little bit with these conditions. You've got to watch out for the curbs, especially around here, because they just hold that rain. They just don't drain away. So so you'll have to watch out you don't spin on those, because it's so easy to lose grip on those curbs. The drivers will be trying to stay on that dry line that you see forming there, because if you get off it there will not be any grip. As we see MST, I think that was getting out of the way there. Yeah, he's out of fuel, so he'll just be making sure he stays well out of the way for the drivers. As we see Adri still in his lap, and yeah, that was definitely a cut there. We got the final corner there, and he's going to come into the pits. Go check in with Rene, and he is not going to have enough fuel to finish his lap either, so he will be coming into the pits this lap, I'm sure. MST just managing to limp back into the pits. Cam in P5, we've not seen much of him yet. He has set a lap time though, a 1:46.4. Almost a second off Rene though, who's set an absolutely fantastic time. I think we need a division 0.5 just for Rene, to be honest. Absolutely fantastic lap time there for him. We'll see Turn has set a lap time, but that is not going to be a representative lap time, I don't think, because he is one of the fastest drivers here as well, and he is not that far off Rene on pace, and he is on a hot lap now as well, I believe. We'll ride on board with him, as Oshalak is also on an outlap, so we'll watch his lap after we watch Tones. Tone barreling down the straight at 190 miles an hour before he slams the brakes on at the 100-meter board, getting the car turning a little bit of understeer there at the apex. That's to be expected with these conditions though, of course. Not much grip out there for the drivers, and the front end will really be struggling to get the turn in. And it looks like he has backed off there, so he is on an outlap, and there's a crash there for J4C. He's lost it coming out the final corner. We just managed to catch that on the stream. If you look on the front right of that Red Bull wing though, you will see there is wing damage there, so he is not going to be able to set a good lap time now. He's going to have to come back into the pits. He should have time to go again though. Oshalaka, he is on an outlap. This might be his final run, because the session is in the dying third of the session now. Only 7 minutes remaining. Rene still looking impervious at the top of the timing sheet, so it's going to take a really special lap from someone like MST or Oshalaka, who could perhaps do it now, to knock Rene off provisional pole position. We saw Oshalaka there. He was a little bit late to go from non-ERS to hot lap ERS. That might have cost him a couple of thousandths or so, but not very much. And here's the S's. There's a lot of time to be lost or gained, especially in these conditions through the S's. A little bit of understeer there, and then more understeer there, and you see him clatter over the curbing now on the inside. He's still managed to go purple though, so there's definitely a lot of time that drivers can gain in that first sector, because that was not perfect and he still went purple. He's got to focus on not invalidating his lap time though. He's 6/10 away from Rene's time. He'll be looking to at least get himself up ahead of MST onto the front row of the grid. Yellow flags as well at the end of the straight. I think that is a Red Bull that appears to be out of fuel. Be Oshalaka's teammate there, I think. Or perhaps he's just going slow because of that wing damage that we saw him get earlier on in the session. But we will keep following around with Oshalaka as he is about to enter the yellow flags, and we crash there actually. I will actually go and have a look because we do have a crash there. It's Ice Pup. Ice PXP or Ice Pup, I'm not sure exactly how the name is pronounced. He has wing damage though, I think. But he hasn't hindered Oshalaka so far. Hopefully he'll be able to get out of the way of all the drivers that are on hot laps. And sneak back to the pits to set another lap time, because we do have some time left. You saw the rear end getting a little bit booky there for Oshalaka, but he's managed to keep it in line. Not running too wide there, so he doesn't invalidate the lap. Now he's going to come through the final corner and then run up to the line. What time will it be for Oshalaka? Can he improve? He does improve. It's a 1:45.2. A fantastic lap there by Oshalaka. And Rene has now got some work to do if he wants to take back provisional pole position. That was a fantastic lap time there by Oshalaka to beat Rene by 3/10. But here's Rene, he's on his fast lap now, he's coming through the S's. And look how well he's kept it towards the apexes through there. The Racing Point there staying well out of the way. Looks like he's got a little bit of lag going on there, but we can still sort of make out the racing line that he's taking. Ice PXP there on the left hand side, he seems to be really struggling in these conditions, but Rene is putting in a good lap so far, I believe. MST hasn't come out again, and Calibob has snuck his way up into P3 as well. I've only just seen that, and he's on another fast lap now, so we'll have two of the top runners crossing the line at the end of this lap to set their lap times as we see Adri from out of nowhere takes provisional pole position in that Renault with a 1:45.1. Absolutely incredible time by him. I was focusing on Rene, and Adri just snuck in there in that French car to whack it onto provisional pole position. It looks like the circuit is drier than it was. Not by much, and it's certainly a very long way away from dries, but perhaps the drivers are just managing to scramble a little bit more grip. Through the corner now, a big lift off there though, Rene. I think he had a little bit of oversteer through the first right-hander of that little complex. There you go, clipping the apex but not taking too much. He doesn't get invalidated. He could have taken a little bit more on the exit but doesn't. It looks like perhaps he's backed off a little bit. Perhaps this won't be a fast lap by him. Perhaps he'll be waiting for the next lap. He doesn't improve, but it looks like he is going to be going on another fast lap. This will be his last chance, I think, to set a lap time. As we see, I think that was T-Widow coming out, and Calibob goes fastest. Beats Adri by just over a tenth to set provisional pole time of 1:45.0. So could we see a driver sneaking into the 1:44s? It's possible. I like that, the uppie. Will the Thrill. I might rename myself that. That's a fantastic name. Thank you very much, mate. And he has just informed us as well that he thinks it's going to be a dry race. So the strategy could be interesting here. We'll see what the top 10 start on. Of course, usually you'd think they're going to be probably limited to the soft tyres in a session like this. They'll be limited to the soft tyres, sorry. But of course, that will not be the case in the race, because they will have the free tyre choice, and FLR has managed to put his AlphaTauri on the front row. Provisionally that's P2 for him with a 1:45.099, only 8/100ths of a second away from Calibob, so it's looking pretty tight at the top. Adri and Oshalaka are both in the pits, but if they came out, may just have enough time to set another lap. Rene also probably on a fast lap here. Let's hope he doesn't get held up too much by T-Widow ahead of him, who is also on a fast lap. We'll wait and see, but this is not what Rene wants. That dirty air is going to be really hurting him through this high-speed section. See, Young Ants, I think that was, or MST, have just put themselves ahead of CamCam, who was invalidated his lap time. CamCam will have enough time to go and set another lap time, and there goes Rene. Only good enough for P2. He'll be wanting to get on pole, but that's not going to be good enough, and he does not have the fuel required to go again, so that is going to be his fastest lap time of the session, a 1:45.07. It's looking so far that Calibob is going to be on pole position. We'll see, we've got a few fast drivers on their laps, so Steinzap with a little bit of a lock-up to T1. He's on his fast lap as well. Yep, Rene there just retiring from the session. His qualifying is over. MST has just set the purple second sector as well, so he looks like he might be within a chance of snatching pole away from Cali Rob. T-Widow was pulled over as well. Looks like he might be retiring from this session. Rene might be thinking that maybe if he didn't have T-Widow ahead of him, he probably could have put that car on pole position, but T-Widow is perfectly entitled to set a fast lap as well, so it's not like it can be reported to the stewards as MST crosses the line and takes pole position by 9/10 from Cali Rob. What a lap time by him. 9/10 faster than the previous provisional pole time. Wow, what a lap there by the Alfa Romeo driver. We'll see who is still out on track that can actually take that away. Adri and Oshalaka are both on outlaps. We'll see. I'm not sure if they will have enough time to actually get around. It looks like Oshalaka and Adri both will have enough time though. Steinmine here, we see he is on a fast lap. He's just come through turn 1 with only a lap of fuel. Oh no, it's 3 laps of fuel remaining. Sorry, I misread what it said on the dash, so he will have enough fuel to set a lap time. Hopefully he won't invalidate it. See, Cam is one of the favourites to do well in this qualifying session, but he's down in P12 and he's invalidated his lap time, so that's going to be it from Cam. He's not going to be able to improve upon his 1:46.4. And Steinzat there manages to put his Renault up onto the second row of the grid. That's a provisional P3 time there from the Dutch driver. I'm sure he'll be very happy with that one. His teammate just behind him in P6, separated by just over 1/10 of a second, so incredibly close. Let's have a look at Steinmeier as well. He's going to be on his fast lap. He's going to be coming to through the second sector on the straight. I think he's got J4C just ahead of him there as well in the Red Bull. Yeah, that's going to be J4C just ahead of him. He is not on a fast lap, I don't think, or he is on a fast lap. So that means he may hold up Steinmeier, who looks like he's going to be going a little bit faster. Yeah, he is going a little bit faster because he's just set the purple Sector 2 time. So that's the fastest time in Sector 2 of the whole session so far. So Steinmeier really means business, getting a tank slapper out of there, but managing to keep it under control. The number 32 Haas driver there, keeping the rear end in check. Again, those traction zones are going to be so difficult, especially if you aren't running with any assists in this weather. Steinmeier, though, keeping it absolutely perfectly within the line to the third to last and penultimate corner. Tucked up for a tiny little slipstream behind JC. He crosses the line and he cannot improve upon P8. 1:45.4 there. KDSX is coming into the pits. He won't be able to improve. Young Ants, though, he is on a fast lap. Can he do anything to try and threaten the leaders as he crosses the line? He goes from P12 to P11 by Young to threaten the top guys, and here comes Tone. Tone crosses the line, only good enough for P9. He will not be very happy with that. Oh, over a second away from pole position, which is not like him. The only driver still out on track is T. Darson, who has just crossed the line. And that is the end of the qualifying session here at Tier 1 Hungary, for the Tier 1 Kota, sorry, I beg your pardon there, for this season. So it's going to be MST Sport taking pole position for the Alfa Romeo team. He's going to have Cali Rob just behind him in P2. He'll be looking to get a good start and threaten into the first corner. And there we see Tone being highlighted there in P9. Really bad result for him. He would have been wanted to start a lot higher up the grid than that. So here's the confirmation, guys, of the results for this session. We'll have a quick look in Race Director. Hopefully no one's got any grid place penalties. We wouldn't want to see that. A lot of invalidations, of course. You're going to be struggling for grip out there, and no grid drop penalties, which is absolutely fantastic to see. Everybody will be starting where they qualified. So MST is going to line up on pole position. He's going to have Cali Rob just behind him in P2. Obviously a big threat in the wing mirrors, but 8/10 behind in qualifying. That's a massive gap. Steinzat then, the first of the Renault drivers, he's going to be in P3. Rene, one of the fastest drivers we have as well, he's down in P4, not where he wants to be. FLR in P5 with his fellow German Adri in P6, then Oshalaka, then Stein, then Tone, then KDSX rounds off the top 10 in P10. And this is going to be a very interesting race, I think. Yuppie did say that he thinks it's going to be a dry race. I wonder if there is any threat of rain in the race at all. It may be completely dry. But here we see the The drivers will be on the grid at the moment. They'll just be choosing their strategies. Of course, there's a lot to think about here as well, because you've got to think about what tyre compound you want to start on, especially even if you're in the top 10, where usually you wouldn't have that choice. Now you do because of the wet weather. You can start on the softs, the mediums, the hards, anything you want to start on. The world is your oyster if you're in that top 10, so this is going to be massive for them. So of course we will be having a formation lap, as we always do here. Let the drivers get their brakes, their tyres and everything up to temperature, prepare their cars for the race ahead. But it's got to be so interesting to see actually what tyres the drivers decide to start on. And the Razor is correct there. That was a very intense qualifying. That was probably one of the best qualifying sessions I've actually seen in this in PRL so far this season. Of course, PRL never disappoints us, but that was an absolutely stellar session there. Drivers beating each other's times left, right and centre before MST Sport managed to put in an absolute worldie of a lap to start on in P1. So we have a few people just tuning in now, just joining us, so welcome guys. Yeah, we are 30 seconds away from lights out on the formation lap as we see Terrible, the admin of course, readying up there, so that's great as well. We see nobody readied up prematurely, which is absolutely fantastic, so no penalties needing to be given out by the stewards for that. Everybody will have perfectly enough time to set their strategies, their tyres, their fuel ups, etc, etc. So all fine there, and there we go, we see the timer hit 0, so we're going to go to the grid now for the formation lap, as we see MST Sport leading them away. Everybody getting away cleanly. FLR already trying to warm those tyres up, as is Rene and Steinlein behind them. So yeah, this is an important lap here to try and get those tyres warmed up, and MST is wasting no time. Of course, as the pole sitter, he dictates the pace through the formation lap. Caliwab might need to get a little bit of a move on, because he is falling back here from MST Sport, because of course if you are in P2, if you went quite slowly like Caliwab is doing now, then it would mean that the car ahead of you would be sat on the grid for longer, and they would lose a lot of temperature, possibly be at a massive disadvantage on the start. So hopefully we don't see that happening. MST, of course, it's the pace is his prerogative. It's all up to him. He can go as fast or as slow as he wants on the formation lap. He dictates the pace, so he's clearly wasting no time. Bringing back visions of the 2018 real life race in Mexico, where the two Red Bulls started first and second and wasted absolutely no time on their formation lap, not wanting the grid to be stuck on the grid for very long. So we'll see. He's backed the pack up a little bit more now. Hopefully everybody can get their tyres nicely warmed up. Now before we start, let's have a quick look at what tyres everybody's going to be starting on, because this is going to be an absolutely massive detail. And we see MST, he is going to be starting on those soft compound tyres. We've got Caliwab behind. He's going to be on the mediums, as is Stein and Rene. They're going to be hoping to extend for a little bit longer than the front runner, really take those tyres the distance. Caliwab will be hoping he can try and keep up with MST, so that later on in the race he will have the tyre advantage and be close enough to utilise that. Then we've got FLR, Adri, Oshalaka there on the softs. Then Steinlein is going to be on the mediums. Then we've got Tone on the softs, KDSX on the mediums. Then Ice, PXP, Young and T-Widow all on the softs, as we see the predicted pit stop strategies powered by AWS. It's going to be a one stop onto mediums or a two stop with using one medium and two sets of softs. So it's going to be interesting to see what the strategy is. I think it will be pretty evenly split here. We saw that in the tier 2 race as well. Split pretty much 50-50 between the one and the two stop. because both can work pretty well here. There's a lot of practice races happening during the week. The drivers trying to prepare their tyre strategies. I know Terrible took that very seriously. He did quite a few races to try and try and get some data about the tyre strategies, because it's very important around here. But here we go. We've got 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go in USA, and we'll see who gets a good start. The Williams there has got a bad start, and that's an absolutely fantastic start by FLR. He's on the outside of the Renault. MST is going to lead them into turn 1. We've got FLR, he's gone from P5 to P3, he could be P2 because he's going to be side by side with Kalirob. He's down the inside, Kalirob on the outside, which turns to the inside. They make a little bit of contact, but FLR has passed P5 to P2. Absolutely fantastic start there by the AlphaTauri driver. Looks like everybody has got through cleanly though. That's the most important thing. It doesn't look like there's been any crashes just yet. FLR is already a second though behind MST, who's leading them away. Kalirob coming under pressure from Rene, so he's not had a very good start here. We don't have yellow flags just yet though, which means they've all got quite a clean getaway. And there we see Rene having a little look down the inside of Kalirob. He decides better of it though. He doesn't go for the move, and that's left him open to Adri there, who's had on the exit but can't do anything. And look at this train here of 4 or 5 cars really close up behind each other, and it might be 3 wide possibly going into this corner, as we see Rene on the outside of Kalirob. Can he hold it around? Kalirob's going to say no thank you, and Rene has to leave the track, but that's debatable whether he could have kept it in there. But they're going to be 3 wide. The Renault of Adri has gotten himself up into P3. Kalirob's lost out 2 positions there. He's lost out massively. He's going to come back down the inside of Rene. He retakes that position. We'll see, but can he retake the position on Adri? No, he can't, and Rene has snuck past him as well. Now we have yellow flags. That's a McLaren round. I hope it isn't Tone, but it is Tone. Tone down in P19. He might have damage. Absolutely horrendous start there by one of the fastest guys in the league. MST is loving life out front. He has got a great gap, but look at this. Kalirob is falling back through the field. Oshalaka has just got past him. Kalirob doesn't have any damage, but he's having a really bad start here now, and Steinsap's putting him under pressure. Stein down the inside, but he doesn't. And look, Kalirob has gone down the inside of Oshalaka. That's a fantastic move. What a great move late on the brakes there by Kalirob into the first corner, and he's going to retake that 7th place, but that's not a great start by him. He's got now 5 positions. Really not great by him. He's going to really put his race under threat. MST is going to be loving life out front. He's nearly got 2 seconds now to FLR. He's way comfortably out of the DRS, which will be enabled next lap. Those just made the move as well for P15, but he wants to be higher than that, I would believe. Oshalaka is still putting Kalirob under pressure as we run on board with him. You can see that McLaren is not too far up the road, but you think he's going to be just far enough ahead that he's not going to come under threat in the slipstream on the run down to this left-hander, and hopefully for him he can pull a gap out through the corners and maybe try and get on the back of Steinman, because Kalirob does have a lot of pace around here. He's had a really bad start, but that doesn't reflect his pace around here. He is a very quick driver, so I'm going to see. But you've got to remember as well, Oshalaka in that Red Bull, he does have the tyre advantage on that soft compound tyre. At least for the first 5 or 6 laps, Oshalaka is going to be getting a lot more grip from those soft compound tyres. But that was a relatively clean getaway. I mean, Tone is very far behind as we see the pit stop strategies popping up once again by AWS, just reminding us that we could see a 1-stop or a 2-stop here. It could be either of them. The DRS now enabled by race control. And T-Widow picks up the first time penalty of the day for multiple warnings on the track limits, of course. Strict track warnings, very harsh, but they are probably the best system to go with, because regular would be too lean drivers. So they've really got to be disciplined with those track limits, keeping it within the white lines, not taking too many liberties, or they will be punished. Here we see Oshalaka, he's really pushing. You can see how much curbing he took on the left-hand side, and Kalirob's made a mistake. Oshalaka could have a little look around the outside for this left-hander as Lihardo picks up a penalty. Gets on the outside, then maybe switches it to the inside, and then to the left, trying to get a better exit than Kalirob. It looks like enough though to fend him off, at least for now, but Oshalaka is going to be putting him under pressure. I know we're getting a few comments, but I can't even look at them because Kalirob is going so defensive to the inside. Oshalaka fancies going completely around the outside, and he does. What a move! What a move by Oshalaka on Kalirob. I think we're going to see that one in the highlights reel. Wow! What a move by Oshalaka. He gets the DRS as well, so he can power off down the straight. Absolutely fantastic move. Absolutely incredible as Young Ants sneaks down the inside now of Kalirob, who's losing even more positions. He's really struggling there. This is not great for him. He will want to be doing a lot better than this. So we've got a couple of people talking in the chat about the strategies, and it looks like it's probably going to be pretty split between the 1 and the 2 stop. They are pretty similar pace. I think the 2 stop will be a little bit faster, but you've got to take into account the fact that if you're doing that 2 stop, you've got to be able to make moves. You can't get held up in traffic. If you try that 2 stop, you've got to use those fresh tyres to really eke out every little bit of pace from them. And if you get caught up in traffic, if you can't make moves, then that strategy is going to be useless for you. So it's going to depend. The drivers that can do the 2 stop and can make up a lot of positions, they're the drivers that are really going to be able to make a good use of that 2 stop. The 1 stop perhaps might be favoured by some of the more conservative drivers that don't want to be taking too many risks. Maybe they're slightly less risk, slightly more risk averse drivers, sorry. Might be trying that. We'll see what strategy Calibob goes on to as well, because I mean he has got the pace here, but he's not showing it in the race. Perhaps he compromised his setup too much for the wet qualifying, and now he's struggling in the dry conditions here at COTA. It's hard to say really from the outside looking in, but yeah, this is not where he wants to be for the championship. We'll go and have a look at T Darcy, because that's the smallest gap is on the field right now, is between T Darcy and J4C. We see Cam ahead of them. He's made a couple of positions up. And T Darcy had a little look around the outside there, but that corner is just so difficult to go around the outside. Oshlaka picking up a 3-second time penalty at the same time as Steinmein does as well. J4C goes ever so slightly defensive there into the last corner. That might compromise his exit a little bit, because oh, that's a big tank slapper there by T Darcy. He was going to really struggle to gain there, and look at that, KDSX might be very opportunistic here. He might dart it down the inside of T Darcy. T Darcy getting that oversteer out the last corner really compromised his exit, and look at that, KDSX is through in the Williams to take P13 from T Darcy, who was looking at making an attack on J4C, and he has just been Uno reverse carded by his throttle input there on the exit to get that oversteer, which has really compromised him. And look, T Darcy's coming under threat there from T Widow, and T Widow has snuck past. That's a fantastic move by the Mercedes driver. We can see that in the background going through the S's. Absolutely incredible stuff. T Widow does have that penalty though, so it's advantage T Darcy in that department right at this moment in time, as Ice Pub and Cam are side by side on the exit. We'll see, it's going to maybe come down to whoever had the DRS. It looks like it's going to be Cam who got the DRS. He's going to go straight past possibly Ice Pub, who might be using that overtake. He's not using that overtake. I think he has he's accepted his fate here, but no, he's going to dive back down the inside of Cam to retake that position. We see a lockup from Cam. He runs a bit wide. Cam still managing to hold the position around that outside though, and it looks like Ice PXP is just going to have to sit back and settle for P11 at least upon onto the next straight, unless Cam makes a mistake. And Cam is having a few lockups here. Perhaps he doesn't have his brake bias settings quite right. As we see T Darcy now picking up a 3-second time penalty, so it looks like a few of the drivers are really struggling with the track limits here today. We've got J4C looking a little bit punchy as well behind Ice PXP. If him and Cam fight, then J4C might be looking a little bit opportunistic in their wing mirrors. KDSX as well, he might be coming under a little bit of pressure from T Widow as well, who looks to be pretty fast here today as well. Ice PXP way too far behind Cam though. It looks like Cam just have a little bit more pace, as we see Tone picking up a 3-second time penalty, really rubbing salt into his wounds. He's down in P19. He's gosh, he is 8 seconds behind P18, so that's really bad for him, and he's left the session. I think he is yeah, that's sad to see that he has left the session. I doubt that's connection. I think he's just decided that he is going to not bother with the rest of the race because he's so far back. But let's move on to brighter things as we see MST Sport 99. Look at that gap he's got behind him there to FLR. He just has a little bit of lock up there on the rear right hand side. You can already see the tyre wear kicking in though. If you have a look on that tyre, you can see the line starting to form a little bit of wear on the outside of those rear tyres. And he is really struggling with the lockups, similar to Cam. We're seeing similar issues between those two drivers. FLR though is now 2.7 seconds behind, and we see a yellow flag there. That looks like it's going to be Rene. It's Rene. He's made a mistake, I think, or he's had an incident. He's got wing damage there as well. He's going to be falling back down the field. He's going to have to pit. Calibob is going to look to send it around the outside of Rene here. And Rene has spun. Oh, he's managed to catch it. He's managed to catch that oversteer, but he's lost even more. The horrendous Cam was flying past, as does Steinzap. Rene really struggling. He's going to have to come into the pits because I don't think he can carry on with that wing damage. He's going to have to get a new front wing. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what tyres he goes on to. He could possibly go onto the hard tyres and try and take them to the end. We will wait and see. There's not much action going on track right this very second, so we can watch it. We'll just keep an eye on that gap between KDSX and Ice PXP, though. It looks like there could be a little bit of fighting going on there pretty soon. And we see what tyres he's going on to. It's going to be the hard tyres as he gets a new front wing, and it's agonising how long he has to stay stationary for as he gets that new front wing. But let's quickly go over to Cam. He's closed the gap to Steinzap for 2 tenths now. Only 2 tenths between those two drivers, and then they have Calirob up ahead by about 8 tenths. So it looks like Stein may get the DRS to help defend from Cam. But Cam could even possibly making a move into this left-hander here. He's got a great run on Steinzap. He looks to the inside. He doesn't try and outbrake him, though. He's going to fall back behind Steinzap. Try and focus on getting the exit, put that car in the slipstream, get the DRS open, and Steinzap doesn't get the DRS for Cam. We will watch and see. Cam maybe can look at darting to the inside, but I think he's going to be a little bit too far back. He is. Steinzap got a really good run out of there, but Oshalak has been passed there by Young Ants. The Alfa Romeo driver has taken the position from the Red Bull driver there. Not what he'll want to be seeing, and we see Liardo has fallen back there behind Terrible. He doesn't have any damage, so that is just a normal overtake there. T-Widow only 5 tenths as well behind KDSX. 3 tenths splitting Cam and Steinzap. They look like the closest battle out on track at this moment in time. Cam really pressuring the Dutchman ahead of him for P8. Steinzap's going to be trying to keep his cool, not make any mistakes, but obviously Cam with that DRS, he can afford to save a bit of ERS, save a bit of fuel, and still stick with Steinzap. See, but it does look like that Cam does have the pace advantage over Steinzap at this moment in time. I would think it's going to be about now as well that you see the difference between the softs and the mediums starting to degrade, and it looks like the mediums may start to become the faster tyre around now. Around lap 8, that's when you're probably going to see it. We could see drivers boxing around now for the 2-stop from the softs onto another set of softs or onto mediums, or we could see them stretching it maybe lap 10, 11, 12. Be interesting to see what Terrible does as well. It looks like he'll probably end up stretching a lot longer because that's what he tends to do in these sort of races. He tries to get the pain out of the way earlier on so he can just fly at the end of the race. But we'll watch first Oshalaka putting pressure onto Young Ant, and then we'll go back down the straight to look at Steinzap and Cam. Young Ant's going defensive to the inside. Looks like Oshalaka's going to be a little bit too far behind as he does have a little bit of a lock-up now. We'll go back to watching Cam and Steinzap because they're fighting in the braking zone. Steinzap manages to keep the position. Cam getting a bit of a lock-up, going a little bit deep. Steinzap locking up again there, the number 14, Renault really struggling to get that car slowed down under the pressure from Cam. Cam also having the same issues though with those front lockups, especially on the front left and the rear right. They seem to be the two lock-up hotspots regarding the tyres. Liardo is also closing up to T. Darson. There are only 3 tenths between those two. And here we see Cam. Look how close he is between Steinzap. He could have even had a look at the inside there. Steinzap's locked up. This could be Cam's chance. He's right in the slipstream. He needs to get a good exit there. Steinzap looked like he got a slightly better exit despite the lockup though, because he did pull away from Cam slightly at the start. Steinzap goes defensive to the inside. Cam tries to hold it around the outside as we have some yellow flags in sector 3, but I think they're cleared now. And Steinzap is going to show Cam the long way around, and Cam is not going to be able to hold it out there. But he's gotten a really good run through the S's. He might try a little bit of a switch back. It's so difficult to make a pass through here. He's got to watch out for his front wing as well. If he makes some contact with that rear end of the Renault, then Cam could be in for a world of hurt with his front wing. So he needs to watch out. But he definitely has the pace over Steinzap. They're having an absolutely fantastic fight here. Steinzap struggling for pace compared to Cam, but he just has enough to try and keep him behind. Now Cam trying to get the exit there on Steinzap. He's got the DRS, he's got the fuel mix. He doesn't have much ERS left, but this looks like it could be the time where he makes the overtake. Steinzap moving very aggressively to the left-hand side there. The Stewards might want to have a little look at that. But Cam's got it down the inside. It doesn't look like Steinzap can really come back at him. We'll ride on board with Steinzap and see. He's got a little bit of breathing space behind him, so he doesn't have to worry so much about J4C if he wants to make a big lunge on Cam. But I don't think he's going to be able to fight that back much, as we see FLR getting past T-Widow. Maybe T-Widow's made a bit of a mistake there because he's just lost 2 positions at once. He's going to be coming under pressure as well from FLR behind him. We'll go and have a look at the back of the field. We've got Rene there. He's 11 seconds back from Leah Kosk in P17, so he is probably going to be trying to take those hards to the end. I don't see any other strategy really for him that's going to result in any sort of points, to be honest. And look, let's see Kalibov here. Get the switchback coming out of the final corner, of the first corner, I do apologise. Trying to get the drive through the S's, but he's just going to have to fall back behind Oshalaka 9 there. Through the S's, because you really can't make an overtake here unless a car makes a big mistake. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, let's have a look now. This is the time of the broadcast, of course. If you've been watching a few of these races, you'll probably know exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to have a look at who are the winners and who are the losers so far. Now, we've had a couple pit stops for the people that have damage, but not many for the other drivers. Apart from FLR, who I've just noticed there, has come in. He's put some fresh mediums on. Let's have a look at the detail screen for the position changes. So who are the biggest winners and who are the biggest losers here? It looks like Young Ants is doing a fantastic job in P3. In P4, sorry, he's up 8 positions, as we see. Was that Steinmeier there having a bit of a scrap there? No, it was the cars behind him. That's right on board with CamCam. He gets a fantastic view here. Kalibob's gotten past him. We've got Kalibob, Oshalaka and Young Ants there, all up together. They could be up for a bit of mischief in a moment's time. Kalibob running a little bit wide. You see CamCam gaining some time with him through there. CamCam also one of our big winners so far here today. He's up 8 positions into P7, so he's had a great start. Of course, you've got to look at 2 of the fastest drivers on. Oh no, just as I say that, the commentator's curse strikes. That's a spin for CamCam, and for the first time during the winners and losers segment, we see him become a loser. Oh, and that's terrible for CamCam. All the way down to P15, it becomes P16, P17. Looks like he's just going to be a little bit too far ahead of Rene, but CamCam, I do apologise if I sent out any bad energy into the cosmos, which affected you there with that commentator's curse, unfortunately for you. Terrible. He's up 5 positions there to P12. So he's had a decent start as well, as has T. Darcy as well. He's up into P14 from P19 where he started. But the biggest losers today have probably got to be Rene and Turn, who is he's out of the race completely now. But Rene, he's down 14 positions to P18 after we saw him have that little bit of a collision, perhaps with another driver or the wall. We didn't quite manage to see it. We'll go back to having a look at the time deltas there. We'll go back to the interval time and we'll have a look at that now. So there's still a really good little battle going on here with Oshalaka, Young Ants and Kalibob. Kalibob's managed to fight his way through both of those drivers, though. He's up into P4. I do apologise that I missed that, as we see Terrible getting past Liharda there, and JC getting past Cam, who obviously does have that damage. He's going to be coming into the pits, I think, this lap. Maybe he'll be changing onto a 2-stop or a 1-stop from his original strategy. We'll have to wait and see what he goes for and what tyre compound he comes out on. No safety car here, of course. We didn't have one in the Tier 2 race, and here comes Oshalaka. He's coming into the pit, so he's decided those soft tyres are feeling a little bit second hand, as we see the pit window opening now for the 1-stop strategy. That can't be right there, because you won't be coming onto the softs for a 1-stop strategy. But Ice PXP's picked up a 5-second time penalty, speeding in the pit lane. One of the worst penalties you can get, really, after possibly speeding under the safety car. It's just such a pointless penalty, so it's very unfortunate for him. And here we see Liardo. He's putting some pressure onto Terrible F1, but looks like Terrible's going to be able to sneak away through the S's as Steinmeier picks up a 3-second time penalty. Rene now up into P14 as we see the drivers making their pit stops. CamCam now the last of the running drivers, so that's absolutely devastating stuff for CamCam. He's one of the best drivers in this league as well. Some absolutely fantastic racecraft usually on display from CamCam, but he can make the occasional mistake, and we've seen that here today. Now let's go and ride on board with FLR, because he's putting some pressure onto Steinzap. There's only 3 tenths between those two drivers. Steinzap gets the DRS, as does FLR though. Steinzap managing to get it from MST Sport ahead of him, the net race leader, I believe. Steinzap going a slightly defensive, but not very defensive, trying to take the normal line through there. He does have a little bit of a lock-up, so he might come under a little bit of pressure, but it's so difficult to make a move through this section. It really is. It's just all corners through here. MST as well, only 3 tenths behind his teammate. Will we see some team orders coming into play here, or will they fight for position? MST, he's in the cockpit. He's shouting, multi 1-2, Young Ants, multi 1-2, it's in your name, Young Ants, 1-2, 1-2. And there we see Young Ants moving to the inside, letting him past as he comes into the pits. So yeah, no fiasco between the Alfa Romeo drivers there. MST up into P3. Have a quick look at the stops as well, but I think that means that, yep, he is going to be in the net P1 because the two drivers ahead of him both have not pitted so far. Few drivers coming into the pits now. Most of the drivers will be stopping around now. It looks like Kalinov and Steinmeier might be coming in soon as well. I think they're on the medium tyres. But it does look like MST is perhaps going for the one stop or the two stop. He could be going for either. I think it's going to be the two stop though on the medium tyres now. It's going to be difficult to take them to the end of the race. It's doable though. It's definitely doable. Only 11 laps left, I think, on those medium tyres. So it could be possible. And I think Terrible will be doing the two stop, as somebody asked in the chat, because I think that was his strategy of choice. When he was doing his practice sessions, we'll see. But MS is putting a lot of pressure on Kalinov. A little lock there for MST as well. He manages to get the car slowed down. He's got so much more pace than Kalinov. He's got to watch out though, because traction is so difficult through this section, especially after the rain in the qualifying session as well. There won't be very much grip on that track at all. Kalinov clearly not having the pace though. He's coming under pressure from MST. Will we see Kalinov pit? We won't. He's going to continue on. It looks like MST will probably be trying to get past him on this straight though. This could really benefit MST's competitors. But look at that, Kalinov getting to the inside, trying to defend, but I don't think it's going to matter. I think MST is going to be cleanly ahead. No, he's not. Kalinov's going to come back at him. They're going to go side by side on the exit. MST gets pushed off track. He's going to be furious, I think, there with Kalinov, who should probably, he'll be thinking, should be giving up that position because he hasn't even stopped yet. MST and Kalinov are not in the same race, essentially, as we see Oshalaka setting the fastest that time, but Kalinov is having none of it. Perhaps he's a little bit annoyed for making a few mistakes at the start and he wants to get a bit of retribution. But yeah, he's making it difficult for MST. That's going to spice up the race a little bit, especially if MST picks up a bit of damage. Then what looked to be a comfortable win for MST could very quickly change. But they're on the main straight now, as we see T-Widow is also very close up behind Ice PXP. We would have a look at that fight if it wasn't for this fight here. MST pulling to the right hand side and he is easily past Kalinov. Kalinov's going to have no way of coming back at him there, I think. Now he's too far behind. And MST says, see you later, son. Gets up into P2. T-Widow has left the session now as well. That's looking like perhaps a connection issue for him. That's going to really badly affect his pace. But let's look ahead. Ice PXP goes for the dive around the outside there of Terrible F1. Terrible manages to fend it from now, for now. But of course, Ice PXP will have that DRS. He is in the slipstream. Only 2/10 separating the two drivers now. He's probably going to have a look to make a dive around the outside. Terrible running out of ERS there. Ice PXP in P13, trying to go the long way around the outside and he can't quite do it. Terrible just manages to hold position for now, but he's under a lot of pressure. T-Widow, of course, losing the position there now that he is being driven by the AI. That's unfortunate for T-Widow. I'm sure that's probably a connection issue because I don't see a reason why he would have retired on his own volition. And yeah, I do think, some people mentioned it in the chat, I do think Terrible will be going for the 2-star. That's what it sounded like in the practice session. Apparently, he did try the 1-stop on one of the strategies, and apparently one of the commentators did the 2-stop and actually comfortably beat him, which, I mean, is absolutely crazy. I don't know who that could have been. But let's ride on board with Rene. He's getting up close behind Lijardo. He's probably got more pace than him as well. He is on those hard tyres, though, so Lijardo might have a little bit of a grip advantage. Rene putting him under a lot of pressure, though. For P11, this is not the sort of position that Rene is used to fighting for. And Rene moves to the outside, and I think he's passed possibly even before the DRS detection point. And we see Young Ants and J4C there. They're having a battle. I think there was no, it wasn't. It was a McLaren getting lapped there of Tonebot. We saw Tonebot making his first appearance, of course, in Hungary, trying to put in a good performance, trying to threaten Landobot for the bot crown, but he can't do it here today. He's been lapped. He's 1 minute and 10 seconds behind Cam in P19. Absolutely horrendous for him in terms of the championship. Look, MST is getting really close now to Steinmeier for the race lead. So this could be a pass for the race lead that he's going to be looking at making soon. Adri is up close behind Steinzap. I wonder if we'll see any team orders here as well. He's going to have a great run on Steinzap though. And there we are, he's passed. Steinsup's going to try and possibly fight it back with a switchback, but it looks like he's not going to have an answer to Adri, who is just going to be able to out-traction him down the hill and into the S section. Now let's go and follow along with MST, sorry. He's quite close up behind Steinmine, sorry, still. There's not much of a gap between the two of them, though. Steinmine, of course, with that penalty as well. MST does not, but Steinmine to pit. He's on those medium tyres that he started the race on, I believe. So he's taken them very far indeed. 16 laps, very impressive. It looks like he's going to be trying to do a one-stop, perhaps onto the soft tyres, maybe even, as we see some yellow flags. That is going to be... Is that KDSX? No, that's KDSX getting past. Fairly on track for position there by Oshalaka, who's then going to have the DRS to power off down the straight. Was it Lijardo, I think we saw, making the mistake? Yeah, I think it was Lijardo making the mistake in the S section. He's lost a couple of positions. Look at this, T. Darcin and the Ferrari driver here. They're going to be having a fight over P15. T. Darcin looks like he's running low on ERS, but so is the Ferrari driver. Yeah, both of them having basically no ERS to defend with, but Leah Koski's using the ERS anyway. Only 2 tenths between the two drivers, but Leah's going to have the DRS as well. T. Darcin, though, seeming to just disappear down the straight. Leah completely out of the ERS. At least T. Darcin has got a little bit to try and fight with, and that's really cost the Ferrari driver there the chance of getting past. He's going to have to let those batteries charge up a little bit, and we see Steinmine finally pitting. That's going to release MST into the lead of this race. Now let's have a little look at the stops. This is what's most important in determining who can actually win this race. So your top two, net position-wise, are going to be MST and then FLR, who is now stuck behind Kalirob. He needs to get past Kalirob as quick as he can if he wants a chance at winning this race. Already just over 5 seconds splits MST and FLR. So yeah, FLR, this is a crucial overtake for you, mate. You really need to get past that slow McLaren ahead, Kalirob. Of course, we saw with Kalirob and MST, he does not want to make it easy, and is that MST? That's MST that's made a mistake. The race leader has made a mistake there, and FLR could be getting past him. FLR could be taking the net race lead. He's stuck up between Kalirob and between MST, and that's a double overtake there, as he takes the race lead on track and net, of course. He gets past MST, who's going to be fighting with Kalirob, and Kalirob manages to take the position from MST, who's going to be furious with himself in the cockpit. Adri's getting involved as well. He's getting a little bit cheeky. He's in net P3 as well, so this is for position with MST as well. He doesn't have to stop again. At least not any more than MST does. But this is absolutely fantastic stuff for FLR. This is why consistency is so important when you're racing at this level. If you can keep it clean and not make mistakes, then you're going to gain an advantage over the other drivers that can't. And we've seen that now as Kalirob pits. He's going to release MST and Adri as well. So they're going to be a straight fight now for the podium positions between FLR, MST and Adri. We did see MST having a little bit more pace than FLR at the start of the race, so he will be trying to close up to him. He is within the DRS range, as we see Rene picking up a 3-second time penalty there. We'll see if FLR can have a little bit more pace now that he is in the clean air. And yeah, as somebody mentioned there, Kalirob shows absolutely no mercy. Absolute savage Kalirob. Does not care. And yeah, Thug Life compilation, Kalirob incoming. I want to see that on the PRL YouTube channel by the end of the week. Thank you very much, Shep. So the gap now at less than half a second between MST and FLR. And oh, that's a big tank slapper for MST. Looks like he's really been struggling with traction out of there. This could be an opportunistic move by Adri, who's got a better exit than MST. MST with a little bit more straight line speed, though. Both using overtake. It looks like Adri is going to dive it down the inside. Late braking by Adri. He does. They're going 3 wide, possibly even. FLR just a little bit too far ahead to lose that position. MST has been passed. He's going to try and fight it back down the inside there. The Alfa Romeo driver is not giving up on that P2. This is fantastic for FLR, though. He can get away. They make a little bit of contact. MST has run off the road there by Adri. He gets a little bit too deep, but Adri's taking the position now. He's up into P2. What a fantastic race this is out on track between these two drivers. MST trying to hopefully get the run on Adri, though, going on to the final straight in just a couple turns time. But Adri will, most importantly, have the DRS from FLR to defend with. So this race has gone from great to not so great for MST. And the race has gone from nicht so gut to sehr gut for FLR, the German driver, up in P1 now. Adri trying to put pressure on FLR. He could take an unlikely race win here. I'm not sure what position he started in, but it wasn't in the. It certainly wasn't on the front row. We can have a little look now, but we see some yellow flags there. That's a Ferrari. Is it Young Ants that made a mistake? No, it wasn't. It's going to be. Was Leo Kosk at 13 there? He's lost a few positions, but we're going to shoot back to the front of the field because what an absolutely fantastic shot this will be here. We see the 3 cars coming over the hill. 3-way fight for position here, which you do not see very often. Absolutely great to see between these drivers. We've got another yellow flag in sector 1. That looks like it's Ice PXP there that's made a mistake. Yeah, it is. Looks like he's had a spin. He's going to make sure he lets everybody go past first, though, not trying to ruin anybody's race unnecessarily, as the position stays the same heading down the straight. Each of those cars in a DRS train now, they're going to be disappearing, I think, from P4, which is going to be Steinmeier, unless they start fighting a lot and you can catch up. It's looking now, though, as IcePXP picks up a 3-second time penalty, that it's going to be a 3-dog fight for the lead. I think that's IcePXP making another mistake there through the S's. The S's show no mercy. We need to rename them the Calirob S's because they show absolutely no mercy. It's so difficult. We saw a few drivers having some issues in the rain, although it was cleaner than I expected, but they're having issues in the dry because, yeah, it's a very technical part of the track. But most importantly, Adri is putting FLR under pressure. FLR moves to the inside to go defensive. Let's watch this from MST's perspective as Adri dives down the inside. FLR's going to try and defend it around the outside. MST could be getting involved, though, on the run-up to the S's. They're keeping it clean so far, though. FLR on the right-hand side of Adri. Adri on the left. They're keeping it together, and that's contact there. Contact there between Adri and FLR. Adri manages to catch the car, though. He doesn't lose it, so that could have been absolutely disastrous for Adri and FLR, and yeah, they could have both spun out there if they weren't careful, but they were careful enough. They showed enough respect that they both managed to get through there without too much issue. Only 8 laps remaining though of this race, and they will go by very quickly. It's not an incredibly... So we're probably looking at about 13 or 14 minutes of actual racing left to go here. All the drivers look like they're really struggling with the ERS deployment though. You can see how much they're all pushing against each other, and Adri, he's going to dive it down the inside. This is a really ambitious overtake on FLR. He leaves the space, but he gets the traction over Adri on the exit, and Adri manages to hold the position there. This is an absolutely fantastic scrap there. I apologise if you see some things coming up on the top left of the screen there. I do apologise for that. That's a little bit out of my control. But Young Ants and Calirob are also having a fight here. There's so much action suddenly. On lap 20, this race has absolutely erupted for the top 6. Only Steinmeier in the top 6 that isn't in a fight at the moment. He's in the Haas car, just chilling his, minding his own business, having a chilled out Sunday drive. But right at the front, this could come down to whichever driver could perhaps best utilise their fuel, who could have saved the most fuel, who can save the most ERS, because that's going to give you the advantage down the straight where you can take position and hold position. And we see this car there as well. I think that's IcePXP getting lapped. Of course, Ghostin is on here, so he shouldn't be too much of an issue for these drivers. He gets well out of the way nicely. Cam and Lahardo are having a fight as well, but we're going to keep on board with these guys because you just do not know what will happen with these front runners. Look at the 3 of them, how close they are. It actually looks like they're reverse on pace as well, which makes for a perfect battle. It looks like out the 3, FLR is probably the slowest, followed by Adri, followed by MST as the fastest. So this could be a fantastic race all the way onto the last lap. We could see this race win decided. Absolutely incredible action here in PRL. J4C picking up a 3-second time penalty there, but look at this. Adri only a 10th behind FLR now. He pulls to the left hand side. He's going to try and go down the inside on FLR. He's got the position so far. He moves over onto the racing line, and that's the position for Adri. Adri is past FLR. MST is just behind them. He still can't find a way past, but I've just realised this is the most important thing. Look at the penalties. MST does not have a penalty. Adri and FLR both have 3 seconds, but MST does not have any. So if MST could just keep it within 3 seconds of whoever wins this race, he will take the win unless he does actually exceed the track limits. And of course, I don't want drivers getting penalties, but I sort of do hope that MST does, because we want this to be a battle on track for position. And we see your Steins up here. He's putting Young Ants 12 under a hell of a lot of pressure. The P6 Alfa Romeo driver, I beg your pardon, there, trying to hold position against Stein in the Renault, who's really pressing him. And MST, we see him getting past one of the lapped cars. Let's have a look at the tyres on as well. Will they have to make another stop? MST, his tyres at 9 laps old, FLR's 12 laps old, so that's not going to help his pace, and Adri's a 9 laps old. Looks like Adri, he's starting to pull a little bit of a gap now. He's past FLR, he's past that roadblock that was the AlphaTauri driver on those older tyres. Only 6 laps left though, so I think everybody that's out on the track now is going to take those tyres to the end. I don't see anybody else making any more stops. Steinmein, of course, he's on fresh softs behind MST though, so we could see him closing very quickly on this fight. You never know, Steinmein could even take the win here today. It's all to play for, and here goes MST. He's going to make the move on FLR. I don't think he's going to be able to fight it back as well. He just does not have the straight line speed or the grip in those tyres to get a good enough exit, and MST is through into P2. Our FLR demoted to the lowest of the podium positions as MST has a little bit of a lock-up but manages to keep easily ahead of FLR. Now he has to just try and keep it on track now. He needs to keep it within 3 seconds of Adri, who's going to probably be pushing like a stabbed rat up ahead. But it looks like MST just has a little bit of pace over him, so unless he picks up a penalty, it's looking like MST will be winning this race. But of course, a lot can happen in 5 laps as we see Adri just about to cross the line to start lap 23. We're eking closer to the end of the race now, guys. The dying embers of this race is what you would usually say, but right now it is still a raging fire at the front. The Williams car here, he's got a lot of pace for a lapped car. Obviously, I think it's IPXP. He's on the fresh softs. This will not be helping the third place driver FLR, because as soon as every time he goes to make a move past to unlap himself, IPXP does interfere with the vision of FLR. There's going to be probably hurting his pace as we see J4C taking the fastest lap of the race so far. Of course, he is out of the top. He won't get the point for that unless he can make up positions, but look at this. The 2 Red Bulls very close to each other on track. Oshlaka is on fresh mediums, but Jay is on fresh soft, so he is going to have the most grip right now. I wonder if we'll see any team orders. I do doubt it though, because it doesn't look like they're in a fight with anybody else really. T. Darsin, of course, 16.5 seconds behind, and KDSX 3.5 seconds ahead of Oshlaka, so they're in a little bit of a battle of their own here, the 2 Red Bull drivers. Of course, now Jay is going to have the DRS. Oshlaka has most of the ERS though to try and defend with. He moves to the inside, and J4C glides past on the outside. It doesn't look like Oshlaka's really going to fight that too much. He could have used his ERS to really put up a good fight there, but he decided not to, so it looks like a little bit of teamwork going on there between the Red Bulls. Of course, if Oshlaka finished P10, that's going to be 1 point for Red Bull, but if J4C manages to finish in P10 with that fastest lap, that's 2 points. So it looks like they're playing the team game here. Young Ants putting Monet under pressure as well, the Alfa Romeo driver on those fresher medium tyres against the Haas driver on the older hards. You'd think it would be a slam dunk overtake for Young Ants when you look at the tyre data, but of course we know Rene is a fantastic driver, so yeah, Young Ants has got his work cut out. Obviously, you can see here he's got much more ERS as well though than Monet. That's going to give him a bit of an advantage. Will ride off board with Steins up right now. He's in a little world of his own. He's yeah, he had a lot of action at the start of this race. He was involved in quite a few fights. It looks like it's simmered down, settled down a little bit for him now. But look at this, Steinmein. I did mention him before on those soft tyres. He's going to be doing bits, and he is doing pure bits now. He's within 7/10 of P3. He wants to snatch a podium here away from FLR. Perhaps he wants to snatch P2 or maybe even the win. It looks like he might be a little bit too far behind them to really threaten P1, but FLR is going to be really feeling the pressure on those older hard tyres. He's not going to have the grip to respond to Steinmein, and Steinmein is going to be putting a lot of pressure on him. He really wants that podium position, of course. We will keep following this. Of course, they're in the third sector right now, so it's going to be very difficult for him to make a move just yet. He's possibly going to have to wait for the pit straight. That's the first overtaking opportunity that he's going to get. And look at that FLR, the rear end getting really squirrely out of the traction zones. He's really struggling to keep the rear end straight and in line with the front, and that's going to really help Steinmein here. He's in the slipstream now. He's got the DRS. He's conserving ERS though, so maybe he isn't going to try and make the move. He doesn't even have a look to the inside. He's just going to keep it behind Steinmein, behind FLR, sorry, and Steinmein is going to just follow him through the S's. Perhaps he's waiting for the last straight. Maybe he thinks, if I get past FLR here on the pit straight, he's going to come back at me on the main, very long straight, the back straight here at Kota. So perhaps he's just playing it a little bit smart. He knows he's got the tyre grip, that if he can get past on the main straight, on the back straight, he can then pull that gap through the third sector so that he doesn't come under any issues. But he had a little bit of oversteer there. Maybe those soft tyres starting to really complain to him now about the wear. Of course, tyre temps can also be an issue around here if you don't get the right setup. Steinman really struggling with his ERS. FLR's deploying all of his as well to try and defend. But Steinman is going to have the slipstream, he's going to have the DRS, he's closing rapidly now on FLR, he's going to take the inside line. Steinman moves to the inside, he's going to dive it down the inside on FLR. They both leave each other the space. FLR and Steinman being very respectful here. FLR manages to get the position for now though. We'll see, can Steinman maybe make a switch back and try and make a move into any of these corners. He has to be careful if you're pushing too hard. And as I say that, Lijardo I think has had a spin in sector 1. So he's going to lose a couple of positions there, quite possibly, and a lot of time, maybe even to his Ferrari teammate who's rapidly approaching him. But we're going to ride on board with this battle. MST is closed up to within 6/10 as well of Adri for P1 as well, so that's almost as close as this battle is. But Steinmine is going to be really looking at trying to make the move here. He's got more ERS, he's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream, and he's got the tyre advantage. He needs to make use of that tyre advantage. Medium start to regain that advantage as they lose their grip less slowly, and Steinman has taken that position down the inside. FLR looks to see if he can maybe make a switch back, but he just doesn't have the grip at the rear end of that AlphaTauri to make it work, and he's going to have to sit in the dirty air now through the S's. Of course, very easy to get yourself a penalty as well if you're in the dirty air through the S section. Very easy to understeer out wide or get some oversteer and have to catch it and then also run out wide. MST, it looks like, has perhaps made a little bit of a mistake there though. He's lost a lot of time, a lot of ground to Adri. He's not even going to have the DRS now, but Adri really needs to push. He needs to pull out 1.5 seconds to MST if he wants to have a chance at winning this race. Unless MST does pick up a penalty. There's only going to be about 2 laps left though when these guys cross the line, so it's going to be very, very, very difficult for Adri to take a very special drive for the remainder of this race from him if he were to retain P1. As we see them lapping Tomebot, and Lijardo was retired. I thought perhaps he'd had a crash, but if we look at the minimap we see he has pulled into the pit lane, so and I've just missed that overtake there between KDSX and J4C. They're still in the battle though, so we'll ride off board with them. J4C on the inside, KDSX on the outside. KDSX maybe switches it to the inside here. Looks like he might be a little bit too far back. He's going to try and keep his nose in through that corner, but J4C just has that Red Bull too far ahead of the Williams for him to come back at him. Just at this second we see yellow flags in sector 1 as well there. That's going to be the Ferrari driver there of Lijardo. It doesn't look like his he did pull into the pit lane, he did everything right to be fair to him, but it looks like the AI is going to continue anyway, which does happen sometimes in these Codemasters games. It looks like MST is just trying to manage that gap to Adri. It's about 1.4 seconds now. It did come down to about 0.8, and then it did extend to about 1.5, but MST just needs to not make any mistakes, and we've seen a mistake there. Is that Leah Kosk there making the mistake? It was somebody, no it wasn't, it was somebody in sector 1 who made the mistake. Of course, we see the Ferrari driver here in a world of his own. He's got 35-second gap ahead of him and a 3-second gap behind him, sorry, and a 3-second gap ahead of him as Jay picks up a penalty. IcePXP here as well. He's just been lapped by Steinmine in P3 as Lijardo leaves the session. MST closing back up again to Adri. He just really safe now. So the last lap of the race, MST just needs to not lose 2 seconds and this race win will be his. At least provisionally, and let's see, J4C is closing up on Young Ants. He could be looking at making a move here as well. He's got the DRS, he's got the slipstream, possibly Rich Mix flowing as well. Young Ants is going to move defensive to the inside. Jay is going to have a look at making a move around the outside there of the Alfa Romeo driver. The Alfa Romeo coming back at him though. Young Ants not giving up that position easily. They're going to be going side by side. Of course, J4C is going to have the inside line though. He manages to force Young Ants out and he manages to put that Red Bull up into P8. So that's a fantastic move there by Jay to claim another to move forward one more place within the top 10 to gather more points for Red Bull. This shows you how crucial it was that Oshalaka let him pass, because he's going to be bringing home some points for Red Bull here today if he can keep this up and not make any mistakes. Young Ants there picking up a 3-second time penalty as well, and MST is now within a second of Adri. I don't know if he will try and make the move on track. I sort of hope he will. That'll give us a little bit of excitement here. But he's got himself through the S's so far, which is where it's really easy to pick up a penalty. This is what we're going to be mostly focusing on, I think, for the remainder of this last lap of the race, because we are now on lap 28 of 28. MST just needs to keep it within the white lines. If he does that, he will win this race. Kaliwob closing up to FLR as well for P4. The McLaren driver, who obviously started P2, had an absolutely terrible start. Dropped down to P8, I think it was, before the pit stop phases. He's now trying to redeem himself and get P4 on the very last lap of the race. FLR does not have the ERS to defend with. Kaliwob has a great run in him. Both of them out of ERS here. Kaliwob in the slipstream with the DRS open. He's going to go and dive down the inside. The McLaren driver trying to make the move up on the AlphaTauri driver. The inside turns to the outside for this corner, and FLR can't hold it in. Now let's go back to the front of the field, because look, there's only 0.5 of a second separating P1 and P2, but you do have to remember Adri has that penalty. There's a Ferrari going very slowly as well. He's about to cross the line. We'll see if he gets lapped or if he'll have to do another lap. But this is the most important thing here, as Adri comes around the final corner to win the race on the track. But it won't matter, because MST crosses the line behind him without a penalty. That's P1. MST takes the win from pole. He manages to convert the pole position. Steinmein coming home in the final podium places before Kaliwob actually takes that position from him after the race based on penalties. We've got Stein's up. He takes P5 here. Steinmein as well, his fellow Stein in P6, with his teammate Rene having a terrible race down in P7. J4C brings some good points home for Red Bull as well in P8. Fantastic drive by him. Young Ants in P9 as well, bringing home 2 points. The final point going to KDSX in the Williams in P10. Oshalaka P11, of course. In that Red Bull, he let his teammate pass, which let Red Bull get those points today. So although he didn't win any points for himself directly for the team, he's got to be credited at least to a tiny extent with the points that Jay managed to bring back. Cam, he's had a very disappointing race. He comes home in P12 in the racing point. He'll be very disappointed with himself. He needs to bounce back next race. Terrible as well. He's not had a perfect race. P13. He definitely had the pace to do a lot better than that. So yeah, he'll be kicking himself. But he needs to just bounce back stronger than ever next race. You can't let these bad results get to you. T Darson as well. He's going to be in P14. He was hoping for a better race, I think. Then we see the first of the Ferraris. They've had an absolutely rotten race for the constructors here. Then Ice PXP in the Williams. He's in P16. T-Widow in P17. Tonebot claiming P18. 1 lap down. And Lijardo, of course, did not finish this race. So he goes down as finishing in P20. And as we get a nice little view of Tone's helmet, as Racecraft wasn't very good today, but at least his helmet was. As J4C there, I did say he had a great race, and he's picked up driver of the day here. So absolutely fantastic job by Jay. Well done to him. That was some absolutely fantastic racing that we saw out there today. Thoroughly impressed with all of the drivers out here today. Of course, some didn't have a great race, but yeah, that was fantastic to watch. It was a brilliant fight at the end for the podium positions. And yeah, what a race. What a race. We see an Alfa Romeo, a Renault, and a McLaren on the podium. So yeah, great for the constructors' battle as well. All the teams staying relatively even through there. I think some bad results for some of the constructors. Solid results there for Haas as well in P6 and P7, I believe it was. But yeah, I think Red Bull will be happy with their race as well. Renault have picked up some fantastic points for the drivers. As have Alfa Romeo with a double points finish for P1 and a P9. Red Bull also going to be happy with picking up fastest lap points. So I've been Will_Ans, guys. I hope you guys absolutely loved that race. I did. That was an absolute pleasure. You guys have enjoyed the race, and I hope you enjoyed the commentary. Here's the final standings for you today. A big shout out there as well to MST. Terrible also, I think, and there was somebody as well in the midfield, yep, Steinzap, who didn't pick up any penalties here today, so fantastic. Everybody else did. So yeah, that's brilliant consistency within the track limits for them. So thank you guys for tuning in. Yeah, Michael Schumacher wins another one. Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. I can't wait to be back here on Sunday. Next race, I'll be in the commentary booth to commentate our next race here in PRL. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to end the live stream here. You've all got the links if you want to re-watch it. If you want to take anything for Instagram or for anything like that, you'll be able to get all of that from the broadcast. So thank you everybody. I'm going to leave you off here. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for watching. I've been Will_Ans, and yeah, I hope you have a fantastic remainder of your day. Yep, Will the Thrill signing out here.